Hello everyone! I'm gonna teach you how to draw underwater watercolor effects. First things first, you have to tape your paper to the desk with a yellow paper tape thing. And you have to use watercolor paper, at least 300 grams. I will list the products used down in the description below. I will use two inks, green and the turquoise one, to create the underwater effects. I'll also use rubbing alcohol and some kitchen salt. You will see. Also, white gel pen is optional, but I ended up not using it anymore. Eyedropper tool, I mean, and water and the towel. Okay, first thing, we have to wet the paper with a bigger brush. You don't have to wet it too much, but just so you can apply the paint to it. You will know when it's too much because it becomes damp and you won't be able to put paint on it. Okay, and now I'll start with the dark green. As you can see, the ink spreads on the paper very nicely. I'm opening also the turquoise one, and I'm trying to cover the whole surface. I'm not adding water anymore at this point because the paper is already wet. I'm just dipping my brush into the paint and I'm trying to paint everywhere on the paper. Don't worry about these lines, we don't want to create perfect watercolor wash on this painting because we will also add some effects later. I'm darkening with more of the turquoise ink, and I'll also use some black watercolor. I'm picking some of the color up with the paper towel. If you don't want color somewhere, you can just pick it up while the paper is still wet. This is a wet on wet technique, by the way. Okay, I'm using some black watercolor, a bit, for more contrast. I could also use ink, black ink, but that's kinda too strong for the painting. It would look too dark, so I'll use black watercolor since it's not so pigmented. Okay. And this is the first layer on the background, and now we can do the effects. The first thing I'll use is the rubbing alcohol. I'm putting the brush in it and I'm splattering on the page. As you can see, the paint starts running away from the alcohol very fast, but it also blends with the watercolor a little bit because the paper is kind of too wet at this point, but we will add even more later. Another thing that I will use is salt. I will sprinkle some salt on the very wet parts. At first you might not notice anything, but once it starts drying, the salt will suck some of the color away and you will see the difference. I'm putting even more alcohol. Now that the paper is a little bit drier, I'm adding more alcohol to the a bit wet parts of the paper. This time I'm using the brush and I'm painting. Also, this time I'm using the gold ink that is alcohol based. You can also use alcohol based ink on top of water based ink, and it will spread the paint away. I'm using a bit of rubbing alcohol again, and you can see how these effects start showing. Also, where the salt dried, where the paper, where the salt was dried, you can see it made those tiny little dots effect. So yeah, this is it. This is the final thing. Now you can scrape the salt away. You have to be very careful, so the paper, it has to be dry whenever you do this. And you can pull the tape away from the painting when you're pulling, and be careful so you don't rip the paper. And this is it. Now you can use this if you want to create, if you want to draw on it something, or you can write something on it, or you can just hang it on your wall like it is. I hope you enjoyed, and if you do paint something with this technique, make sure you show me in the comments. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.